Good morning, gang. 5 o'clock on a Thursday morning. Yes, I'm recording in the morning again, and no, this time it's not because of some censorship or anything. This is because last night wound up a little bit of an interesting evening around here. Now, before I get into what caused that interesting evening, I'm going to kind of premise it with something here. For years, for decades, for whatever, preppers have been made fun of for, oh, gee, you don't need to have all that stuff or whatever it is, or, oh, you don't need to know how to do that, whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? We've all heard that. Now, I will say this, the most important prep that you can have is skills. I've said that since the beginning. I mean, food's important, shelter's important, everything like that. But the know-how in how to do any of that is more important, because that you can't lose. Obviously somebody put a bullet in your head, yeah, you lose it, but at that point you really don't care anyway. But, we've talked about skills, how to garden, how to, do whatever, okay? And it's 5 o'clock in the morning, so my brain's not totally working yet. But one skill that is very important is first aid, okay? Now, y'all know I've been building this deck, okay? And I'm very close to done. And so yesterday I was, where did I lay yesterday? About 24 feet of planking, okay? And, it's tedious, and I've got to measure each board and everything like that and cut it, so I'm doing right. So I literally get down to the very last board I had, okay? I turned out to be short too, so I got to go get 2 more to finish this thing. But I got down to the very last board I had, and in the process of cutting it, had a battle with the circular saw. It won, okay? I got my finger pretty good with that thing, all right? It didn't cut anything off or whatever it is, but you can see a nice groove in the tip of my finger where the circular saw is. And obviously, you pull back immediately, but yeah, so I was bleeding pretty good. And Mrs. P was outside helping me and everything like that. So, of course, it was stop, drop, poof, right to the kitchen. And I'm trying to get the bleeding stopped while she is in the prep room gathering all the material that we need to handle a wound. All right. Now, we've talked about where to get, what to get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But how many people, preppers probably do, but how many normies, I think is Prepper now calls them, have gauze, medical tape? Hopefully they've at least got Neosporin. How many of them have alcohol to clean a wound, whatever it would be? Now, we cleaned this whole thing up, taped it up. Took probably a good 20 minutes or whatever. Mrs. P's like, you got to go to the hospital. You need stitches, everything like that. I'm like, no, I don't. Okay. Sorry, I'm stubborn. Okay. Big deal. It'll be another freaking scar. I got more scars on me than I know what to do with anyway. But, skills and tools and first aid. Now, let's say, for example, this is an SHTF situation. Now, I'm assuming you're not building a deck in SHTF, but you may be building a shelter or, I don't know, something for your animals or whatever it would be. Somehow, some way, somewhere, you could be building something. Well, if you hack a finger up, or worse, what are you going to do? Do you have the skills to treat that wound? Now, fortunately, she has the first aid skills, and I've got the first aid knowledge. I mean, I got the skills too, but, it's kind of hard to do it for yourself. Could I have managed? Yes, I've done it before when I've cut fingers and stuff like that. But the fact that I had, her knowledge, my knowledge, everything to get this done, I'm fine. Finger throbbed for a few hours. That was no problem. Had a little bit hard time sleeping because I touch it or something like that every once in a while in my sleep. Hence the reason I was up at 4:30. But that is something that's very important. So You know, not that I'm trying to be an example and say, go hurt yourself and practice. But make sure you got the stuff to handle wounds. Okay. And I know, I mean, Christ, I've got the stuff upstairs. I can handle bullet wounds. So not a big deal, but not everybody does. Okay. And I know people are going to say in the comments, it's like, oh, I've got the IFAC, or, I've got, Israeli bandages or whatever it is. Well, that's wonderful. Okay. Not everybody does. And the reason I'm putting this out is because there are a lot of new preppers that have started in the last year. And some of these things that people don't necessarily think about, what sort of injury can you handle with the material you have now? Can you sling a broken arm? Okay. I mean, not even talking about bullet wound, but let's talk some sort of stab wound. And I'm not talking about knife. Let's say that you step on a nail, okay, goes through your shoe. Do you have everything that you need to treat that? Because in an SHTF situation, there may not be a doctor or a hospital to go to. So, you know me, okay? I try to get everybody to think outside the box a little bit and prepare for anything. It's kind of like the title shows, okay? But think about those things and look and go, okay, what do I have? If I step on a nail, do I have everything? Now, granted, you don't have something for a tetanus shot. I get that part, okay? Don't even know if you could get it. You might be able to, maybe not. But Coffee Club, hello. But have your material that you need. Get the skills to know how to train. Go take a first aid course. In some cities, they're at the colleges, the community colleges or whatever, will give it on a Saturday course. It's usually an all-day thing. Sometimes your local EMS, your paramedics or whatever will give a first aid course. Look up a first aid course. If it costs you $100, it's going to be the best $100 that you spend, because, not only you, I mean, obviously if something happens to you, you want to be able to take care of yourself, but imagine something happens to one of your kids or your spouse or something. And obviously you want to take care of that, because I could not even imagine the guilt going through your life if something happened to your kids, your spouse, whatever, and you said, if I only knew first aid, if it was something that simple I could have done, simple one, sucking chest wound. Do you know what to do with something like that? How to cover that with a piece of plastic, so to make an air seal. Get a first aid course. Learn it, okay? Personal SHTFs happen all the time, okay? Granted, I'll be out finishing the deck today with the bandage on my finger, okay? Not going to take it off. We just put the thing on. I just got out of the shower. It looks pretty gnarly. Okay. There's still a little bit of blood seeping through, but, and no, I'm not accident prone. It's just, this happened. Okay. But it brought up a subject that we haven't covered in a long time. Get your first aid kit, get your first aid gear. I'm not saying a first aid kit, because the crap that you buy at Walmart's useless. Go through, figure out what you need in the way of first aid gear to cover practically anything. A lot of lists and everything that you can buy online for what a prepper's first aid kit should look like. Get that and get the training, okay? Just so you know, it's worth $100 or whatever it costs. I think it's like $120 if I go down and took a course at UT here or whatever, because I probably need to refresh my skills too, because I'm still working off of Army training. But definitely worth it, and something that you will not be sorry for having done. All right. Inevitably, I will have another video out today, because there was a piece of news that came out overnight that somebody made a comment that they would like my take on, and it goes right into what I was saying yesterday, day before yesterday. Kind of interesting. So, all right, guys, I got to get out. I got an hour and a half drive to get to the store here. So, 5:30 in the morning, something like that. Now they open at 6, so I'll be there by 7. Have a good one, y'all. Pinball out.